This is chapter 3, video 7, and we're going to carry on and take a look at how do we assign variables in this video. Alright, so we've declared our variables. Now we can actually assign them. So in the assignment portion, let's start off with the first one of hours. So what do we want hours to equal? And you'll notice again when I start typing in hours, the IntelliSense is actually popping up, and that little symbol right there with the little 3D box with the square brackets represents a variable. And we're going to assign something to equal that variable. And what are we going to assign it to? Well, we want to assign it to our hours, our text box hours, and the text. But remember, when we do that, that is a string. Everything that gets entered into a text box gets entered in as a string. So the computer says, wait a second, we're entering in a string into a decimal variable. So the error message right here is clear. It says cannot implicitly convert a string into a decimal. Okay, so if we can't do that, that means that before we assign it, we have to tell the computer to convert it, I guess, essentially. So to do that, there's a method we use to do that. It's called parsing. And we can say, let's spell it properly though here, P-A-R-S. There we go. So we want to parse it, and there we can parse it. Parsing means to basically convert to, but we didn't specify what we want to convert it to, what type. So if we don't have a type, the computer says, well, I don't know what to parse it to. So let's go in and we're going to actually parse it into a decimal. There we go. So it starts off with, we want to take decimal, we want to parse it, and I better put a capital in here. It's very finicky, and we want to parse this data that we're entering in here. So this is a fairly complicated statement right here because lots going on in that line. All right, so that will take whatever gets entered into the text box and convert it into a decimal before we assign it to the hours. And that's how it works. It kind of works from right to left. All right, let's do the next one because that's kind of practicing that again. Let's take our pay and let's make it equal to, now we know it's going to be parsed into a decimal, so let's start off with decimal dot parse, and it pops up automatically. Because it's a method, we need to have a bracket, and then we simply type in the name of the control that we want to use, and the name of the control is called pay. So it's a text box for pay, there it is, .txt, and finish it off with a semicolon. So you might ask yourself, why does this turn red? And some of you will probably think, oh, I know why that's red. It's red because it's, you can pause if you don't know the answer and try to figure it out. It is because it's not capitalized. It should have capitalized, but it didn't. All right, so that's basically taking the two inputs and it's putting them into the correct assignment statement. So a lot going on in this particular, in these two statements. We basically have to keep in mind that everything that goes into a text box gets entered in as a string. So if we're going to assign something, the two types have to match. So if I didn't have the decimal parse, it would try to parse it. It would try to assign a string to a decimal, and you can't do that. Those two data types can't fit in the same location in memory. So we have to first of all convert it into the proper format before we do that. All right, so that's a little on how to assign a variable by using what they refer to as the method here called parsing a text box into a data type. And there's different data types. We could do this into an integer data type or other ones, and we will do that in other videos. All right, so let's cut the video off here, and I'll come down to how to calculate and output in the next video.